Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel where we mainly discuss thrillers on Thursdays. I should point out first, I'm obviously in my Subaru. Filming location's a little bit different today because my family, we all decided to come down to Hilton Head, South Carolina to meet up for Thanksgiving, but it's very loud in there, so I figured I would just step out, come in my car, film the review, sitting in my car, and let me know if any of you guys watch these kind of YouTubers. I don't know what you would call them, but they're girls. I mean, all the ones I watch are girls, but they live in their car as just like a lifestyle choice because they enjoy it. One is Katie Carney, one is Hobo AHLE. I'm not sure you say the last name, but they just drive around the US, live in their car, work on their laptops, and it is fascinating and I'm addicted. So please let me know if you watch them and what you think and if you have anybody else you recommend because I'm just obsessed. But today we're going to be talking about a thriller slash sci-fi slash horror novel that is called Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. And I will admit that I'm kind of a year or 2 years late to the game on this, I believe, because it was so hyped up initially and I didn't understand what it was. I heard a lot of people call it sci-fi and I don't read a ton of sci-fi, so it kind of steered clear. But I finally read it and I have a lot of thoughts, so I'm going to get into a summary, pros and cons, as always, completely spoiler free. First, getting into a brief summary, and again, it's gonna sound, I think it might sound like I'm spoiling some stuff when I say this, but this is all in chapter 1. But Jason Dessen is, I believe, in his late 30s, early 40s. He's a physics professor living in Chicago with his wife, Daniela, who he loves very much, and his teenage son, Charlie. And he's always kind of wondered about the fact that because he and Daniela had Charlie fairly young, he never really got to pursue his research in physics, and so that's always kind of nagging him in the back of his mind. And one day he meets up with his friend Ryan for drinks one night. He's supposed to come home, but he's kidnapped, injected with something in his neck, and when he wakes up, he's in a seemingly sort of his world, but different. And in this world, he is sort of a famed physics researcher, but him and Daniela aren't married. Charlie doesn't exist, so the story is about figuring out what happened, this mystery, and how can he get back home to his family. For pros, immediately one chapter in, you can even tell I said so much that happened and you're probably like, oh my god, Katie, you gave stuff away. But that's just how fast the book goes. There's so many really fun twists and turns in this book. And I can immediately see why people said this was so gripping, so fast paced. If you're the type of person where you haven't been reading for a while, which I think is totally fine, I don't think it's a slump. I've talked about this before. I think it's fine that sometimes we want to read, sometimes we don't want to. But if you haven't been reading for a while and you need something to kind of get you back in that stride, I think this would be the perfect book. I think that even, and I can tell this from reviews I've read on Goodreads, I think even if you don't love this book, even if you don't, there's someone there, even if you don't enjoy the writing style, I think you'll still feel that urge to finish it just because it is that engaging and it is that fun. And the other aspect I liked was there were quite a few points when I was pretty freaked out and very on edge. A lot of times I'll read books to help me fall asleep, and that was a bad idea in some sections because it really made it difficult to fall asleep because I was so disturbed. The book really does feel like a mind fuck and it just messes with you, but it also really makes you think about your life and the decisions that you made. You know, I don't think this is an incredibly deep book, but it does make you think a little bit. I was also pretty happy, and I am going to get into a kind of con that's semi-related to this in a minute, but overall I have to say I was very pleasantly surprised with how women were written in this book. Yes, they're all kind of like stereotypically beautiful. There's two main women, Daniela and then this woman Amanda that Jason meets in this new world, but I loved that they were all strong, incredibly intelligent, sharp women who make their own decisions, so I was very happy with that. And now we're going to get into my cons, which, like I said, the first one's semi-related to how he talks about women. And it's not how he talks about women, but it's how Jason says anything romantic when he's kind of trying to be sexy. And it came out very awkward to me. At the same time, though, I don't know if that's a con because, you know, he is a middle-aged dad. So that's kind of how I would picture a middle-aged dad to talk about that kind of stuff. But again, sometimes it just felt a little bit cringy and I don't think it was supposed to be. And my main con, and I will say this isn't a con for me, but like I said, I always like to look at other reviews. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by all the people bike riding around here. But with a book like this where it's sci-fi, it's not a genre that I'm not familiar with, I always like to see people who read a lot of sci-fi what they thought about it so that I can kind of share their perspective as well. And from what I've heard, a lot of people who read a lot of sci-fi said that there are a lot of tropes in this and a lot of things that happen that have been talked about countless times in a lot of other sci-fi books and movies and things like that. So I think from what I gather, this is a very good book for people who want to read some sci-fi but who haven't read a lot of sci-fi, and for people who love thrillers and don't necessarily love hardcore sci-fi. So perfect for me. I feel like I'm kind of, and maybe a lot of you guys are the target demographic for this. This is me from the future, but of course, as I was editing this, I realized I never rated the book. So without further ado, I will give Dark Matter by Blake Crouch 4 out of 5 creepy branches. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. I'm not sure if I'm going to get this up today or tomorrow. I also have to say I wanted to do a Thanksgiving pic with the Katie doll, but my mom did not strap her into the back of the car and drive her the 13 miles here, which I have to say I'm a little disappointed by. Now I'll have the link for what I'm talking about down below. It's my mom's creepy doll Instagram account. But anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you live in the States. Please let me know if you agree or disagree with some of my thoughts on this book. If you do have any other sci-fi you'd recommend for someone who doesn't read a lot of sci-fi, feel free to let me know, and I'll see you guys next Thursday. Bye.